Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the figure 4 Deadfall. How hard could it be, right? Well, we're going to find out. Stay with me. Okay, so the figure 4 Deadfall. It's probably the most popular trap that you'll find 10,000 videos on YouTube for this. I made one about 4 years ago. You could probably say I've never done it before, but I did one a long time ago. We're going to do it again today. I'm going to use just this little multi-tool. It's called a Moore Pilot 15-in-1 tool, and we're going to use this big piece of shale to put our figure 4 Deadfall on. I think that'll be big enough for demonstration purposes. Okay, so what we got here is just three pieces off of a little sapling I got right over there, and I cut it with this little saw right here on this multi-tool, the Moore Pilot 15-in-1 tool. A lot of hand fatigue with that. I'll be using that Buckle Laplander for sure. But hey, this got the job done. It got the sticks cut, so it will work. It's just a lot more effort with this than it is with a bigger saw. For the figure 4, we need to cut some notches in here. Need to get some edges going. And the way I got this length on here, I don't know exactly what the length needs to be. I just gave it 1, 2, 3 bullhorns. Simple enough. For the diagonal piece, I know we're going to need a sharpened edge on here. I guess that'd be called a chiseled edge. Alright, that's a pretty chiseled edge. Vertical piece, we're going to need a couple of notches cut, so probably about right there. And really all I want to do is make a flat spot in there, and I don't want it to have sharp edges. I want it to be able to slip just a little bit. This is much more difficult with this small knife. If I had one of my Moras out here, it would be a lot easier. But I wanted to test this knife out, and I want to see how it does. See what I can do with a small knife. Okay, you got it kind of flattened out right here. May need to do a little more flattening on that. And then got a flat edge on either side of that, so it creates these corners that the bait stick will catch on. Okay, so the bait stick. Now for this bait stick, we need to cut a notch that will fit around our vertical. I'm just going to mark it real quick. Okay, get to go back to the saw here. Get our saw. We're going to cut a little notch into that. Now it seems to me that the deeper you cut this, the less effective the trap would be, which may be the case. I don't really know, but this is more about how hard one of these is to make. And I think it's definitely the most popular one that I know of, and probably one of the easiest ones to make if you want to do some trapping. I would use this more as a survival situation. I don't have a trapping license, so I'm not going to leave this set up. But in a survival, I like that better. In a survival situation, I'm going to get what I can to eat, for sure. Okay, so next step. Bait stick's going to need a point on the end. That's where the bait's going to go on there. So I'm just going to cut this down to like a pencil point. Okay, that doesn't have to be a sharp point. It's just the end where your bait goes. Now, if you want to stick like a berry, a strawberry, or something like that on the end, of course you need a sharper point. A lot of people use things like peanut butter, and then they just smear it all around here. I'm going to need a 7 notch right here to hold that on here. If you cut both the notch and the 7 notch on the same place, it won't work. So turn that 90 degrees and then cut a 7 notch in there. So that will sit right there. looks like put a sharpened edge on here at 90 degrees from the flat surface. Somebody just laid an egg. Now she's got to come out and brag about it. Okay, I cut this one off a little bit shorter. That's our vertical. I got it shorter now. I just did like a beaver chew and sawed it off there. So what I want to do now, I think my bait stick is probably okay with that length. I may have to shorten it a little bit. I don't know yet. That also depends on what side of rock you're using. So, but now I need to determine where that notch on top is going to be. So what I'm seeing is right about there. So I'll grab that in that spot, and we're going to cut a 7 notch into that. Right there. Okay, there's our 7 notch. So basically that's how it's going to look if I can get it to go together. That's what it's going to look like when it's all put together. Okay, but that's what we got. So now I got to determine how tall this needs to be for this rock that I have. Really, this rock is too small for this figure 4, unless I take some more of that off. I got a log right there. Let's try that log. Okay, so I grabbed a log over there, and I'm going to cut this angled piece off right about here. I got the diagonal piece cut off. I cut about 3 or 4 inches off of that one because it was just too long. And so that's going to sit on here like that now. And we'll see how that works out. Okay guys, I have decided this is definitely way harder than the guys make it appear online. I haven't had the camera on. I've been at this well over a half an hour trying to find something that would work here. I tried a log, it just kept rolling off. I tried a rock, it was too narrow, it wouldn't stand up. So this is just a log that I keep on my pile of firewood over there. It's not very heavy, but it wouldn't kill an animal, but I got it to work finally. Also in the meantime, I had to go back and I had to clean up all of my cuts that I had, especially right down here. I was concerned about it not being sensitive enough, and I learned that for this, it's typically not a problem, because I cut this notch in here thinking that I wanted to make it, a small notch on the bait stick, and that way it would trigger easier when something touches it. Well, I actually had to cut it out at least twice as deep as what I had it. So, but anyway, that's what I ended up with. It's harder than it looks. It really is. Like I said, I did this about 4 years ago. I've not done it since then. Definitely something I got to practice on. So anyway, I'm going to set this off. I'll show you how sensitive it is here. Before I do that, something else, if you're going to set up a trap, you want to cover these sides with something. Brush, sticks, rocks, something. So the animal comes in from this direction. That way they come in here, and that's the only way out, and you're more likely to get a trap that way. So anyway, the animal comes in, nibbles on the end of this stick. I just barely touched that sucker, and it fell. Let's see if I can set it up again. One thing I did learn, for me, it was easier to get your vertical and your diagonal piece and hold those in place. Get that kind of where you want it, and then put the bait stick on. That's the way I did it, and it took me a couple of tries, but I finally got it to work. Let's see if I can do it again here. I don't know how long it'll sit there. See, these are harder than they look to make, and this is the easy one that they say that they do. And I had some trouble with it. It took me a long time to get it set up and stay there. Okay, had to go charge the battery on the camera a little bit. Excuse me, it was going dead on me. So got the battery charged up. Lessons I learned today. This notch is about the third the depth of this diameter of this stick. That I thought would need to be much smaller. I was wrong. So I cut that out. On the angled piece, you've got this 7-notch and you've got this chiseled edge. Those are in parallel with each other, right here and right there, and they need to be parallel with each other, and this needs to be sharp. On the vertical, that chiseled edge needs to be sharp, and it needs to be 90 degrees from where your bait stick is going to be. I had those off a little bit, didn't work. I had to go back and recut those. Down here on the bottom of the vertical, where the bait stick hooks into it, I had to recut this one a second time and flatten this side out better because this just kept sliding off of it. It wouldn't hold it in place. There's like 10,000 birds going over right now. So anyway, did that. And it needs to be 90 degrees from your 7-notch on this end. Those were the lessons I learned on the stick itself, on the figure 4 itself. On the Deadfall, I tried a log and it just kept rolling off. It wouldn't stay up for me. I probably could have put something in the back of it to make it stay in place. I tried that small rock that I had here, but it was only about so wide and it wouldn't stand up either. So I took a piece of wood off of my pile that I used for a campfire that was cut in just in half, so it was half a log, and it had enough surface area that it would sit on the ground on the 2 points and I could lean it up on the trap, and that's what I ended up with. So thanks guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe down there and subscribe to my channel. Also, I've started a Twitter page. If you like to go on Twitter, you can follow us there. I'll be posting these videos and some other things as well. I've also started a Facebook page, Bullhornbeach Facebook page. So if one of those social medias is your preference, check them out. Until then guys, thanks for watching. Get out in the woods. I got that 7-notch kind of in the wrong place. That sucked. Wow, I suck.